The Last Ronin by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird is probably one of the best comic books of all time, not just because of the plot twist of who the Last Ronin is, but also because of the impeccable storyline and amazing characters. And to be honest, one of our favorite characters from the Last Ronin comics is Casey Marie Jones. Casey Marie is the daughter of April O'Neil and Casey Jones in this continuity, and she possesses all of the qualities of both her parents. In today's video, we'll dive into the origins of Casey Marie Jones and uncover why she is close to our hearts. But before we get started with the video, we have a small request for you. If you like our content, please subscribe to us and like this video. It might just be a simple click for you, but it means a lot to us. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get started. Who is Casey Marie Jones? Casey Marie Jones is the daughter of April O'Neil and Casey Jones in the Last Ronin continuity. During Mikey's first attempt to attack Oroku Hiroto, he steals Marie's bike and uses it to destroy the guards. After Mikey fails to enter Hiroto's tower, he tries to escape using the sewers, and Marie distracts the Robocops by guiding them towards Central Park. She follows Mikey to the sewer and finds that he is about to commit seppuku. But before she can do anything, Mikey passes out from the pain and blood loss from the fall. Casey immediately realized it was a mutant turtle and took him to their lair. Inside their lair, April tends to Mikey's wounds, and when Mikey wakes up, April introduces Casey Marie to Mikey. Casey reveals that she is part of a resistance group that is preparing to take down Oroku Hiroto. She also reveals that she has been training in kendo ever since she was a kid. After Mikey finishes his meal, she gives him a tour of her training room and returns all the weapons she found in the sewer. In the midst of their conversation, Casey asks Mikey where he was all this time. So, Mikey reveals that after the deaths of all the turtles and Master Splinter, he went to the mountains to train with only one goal in mind, and that is to end Oroku Hiroto. After Mikey finishes his story, Casey reveals that she and her crew will also help Mikey in his mission. But Mikey insists on doing this alone because he doesn't want anyone else to die because of him. But Casey was as rebellious as her father, and she wanted to fight for the cause. This made Mikey chuckle for the first time in a while because he could not decide if Casey was more like her father or mother. Later, Casey meets Mikey before heading to the city to check on her crew, and she reveals that April wants to see him. When Casey reaches the city, she finds that everyone is running here and there, and the city is in chaos. She met her crew, and they revealed that Oroku Hiroto had imposed martial law in the city to find Mikey. That was bad news for the resistance, so Casey quickly made it to the sewers and ran to her lair to tell Mikey and April about what was happening in the city. Meanwhile, in the lair, April was telling Mikey about a plan to take down Baxter Stockman. And that's when Casey arrived and revealed that Hiroto had imposed martial law and everything they worked for was coming crashing down. Since all the resistance members are here, April starts narrating her plan, but Mikey opposes it, claiming it's too risky. This agitates Casey, and she starts lashing out at Mikey, claiming that April's idea is their only chance. But before things could escalate, April interrupted and took Mikey to see the tank she had been building. After that, Casey starts preparing for their mission, and Mikey teases her, claiming her fighting skills to be garbage. Casey reveals that she never had a real teacher and learned everything on her own. So Mikey asks her to showcase her skills by fighting him. Although Casey was a skilled fighter, her skills were nothing for Mikey, who had been training in martial arts for years. He easily deflects all the attacks from Casey and corners her. Mikey claims that Casey definitely has potential, so he volunteers to be her sensei and teach her everything he knows. But Mikey had one condition. Casey would not talk back and would listen to whatever he said. Casey was okay with this and started calling Mikey Sensei. After Casey leaves, Mikey confronts April and inquires about the mutant abilities of Casey Marie. So April reveals that since she and Casey Jones were always with the turtles, their bodies were exposed to the turtles' mutation, which altered their DNA, and Casey Marie received those mutations from her parents. Later, under Mikey's leadership, the Resistance launches an attack on Baxter Stockman's island. During the mission, Casey helps her sensei defeat Baxter's robot army, and eventually, they succeed in defeating Baxter Stockman with the help of April and Fugitoid. Since Baxter Stockman was dead, all of his robots started shutting down, including the RoboCops in the city. This gave the Resistance an opportunity to finally win against Oroku Hiroto. After Casey returns to the city, she finds that the rebellion turned rogue and everyone is busy looting the city. Around the same time, a member of the Resistance meets Casey and tells her that the power outage has caused the sewers to flood. Thus, Casey runs to save Mikey and April in the lair. But when she reaches the lair, she finds that April is trying to fix the water pumps to stop the flooding, and Mikey has already left to fight Oroku Hiroto. Casey was frustrated and asked why April allowed Mikey to go alone, and in a fit of rage, she punched the wall, breaking it apart. April warns Casey that it would hurt, but Casey knows who she is. She reveals that she knows she's a mutant, just like the turtles. Realizing that Mikey might be in grave danger, Casey rushes outside to save Mikey. But when she reaches the city, she finds that Mikey has already taken out Hiroto's tower and might be winning the fight. Thus, she rushes to the lair to save her mother, who might be drowning in the flood. When she reaches the lair, she finds that April is using an oxygen support system to protect herself while fixing the pumps. But suddenly, the debris starts falling, and Casey protects April to buy her more time to fix things. As April finally fixes the pump, Casey is hit by a rock and taken by the water current. Thus, April goes after Casey and saves her. As soon as Casey is out of the water, she rushes to aid Mikey in his battle against Hiroto. Meanwhile, Mikey and Hiroto are already outside the city, where Mikey finally finishes off Hiroto. Casey arrives on the site only to find Mikey taking his few last breaths. In his dying breaths, Mikey entrusts Splinter's journal to Casey, claiming that it will teach her everything she needs to know. After giving her the journal, Mikey takes his final breaths and dies in the arms of Casey Marie Jones. In the epilogue of the comic, Casey is seen training, and it seems she has improved a lot using the lessons from Splinter's journal. Later, in the Lost Years storyline, which is a continuation of the Last Ronin storyline, Casey Marie Jones becomes the sensei of the second generation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Powers and abilities of Casey. Even though Casey Marie Jones is only a human, her strength, stamina, and healing were greatly enhanced because of her mutated DNA. As explained by April, since both April and Casey Jones spent a lot of time with the Turtles and Splinter, they were exposed to their mutagen radiation, and this gave Casey Marie certain mutant abilities ever since birth. Using her enhanced strength, she was able to easily take down a RoboCop during her escape from the city. She was also able to hold her own and fight against Baxter Stockman's robot army using her mutant abilities. Her real strength came to light when she punched through a wall, which certainly would have injured a normal human being. To top that power, she has also been a self-trained martial artist since childhood, which came in handy during her fight with the RoboCops and Baxter Stockman's army. Apart from having certain mutant powers and being a proficient fighter, Casey Marie was extremely intelligent and resourceful, and she was able to organize a resistance against Hiroto without him ever realizing what was happening. Marvelous verdict. Even though the Last Ronin comic is not in continuity with the current Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles run, it's still one of the most popular projects coming from the IDW team. And adhering to the popularity of this comic, an adult video game is in the making, which stays true to the storyline and will probably be one of the best video games when it comes out. But apart from that, as fans of the Last Ronin comic, we want a standalone R-rated animated movie based on the same. This will introduce the saga of the Last Ronin to an even larger audience and would make for an excellent viewing experience on the big screens. And if one day The Last Ronin gets an animated adaptation, who do you think would be perfect to voice the character of Casey Marie Jones? Do let us know your thoughts in the comments section. With that being said, if you like our content, like it and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.